Luzzi,
I, Michael Luzzi,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and comply with the Constitution
that I will support and comply with the Constitution
of the United States of
of the
America,
United States of America,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Connecticut,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Connecticut,
the Charter, laws, and ordinances of the Town of Woodbridge,
the Charter, laws, and orders of the Town of Woodbridge,
the rules and regulations of the Woodbridge Police
the
Department,
rules and regulations of the Woodbridge Police Department,
and the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics,
and the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office
as police officer to the best of my ability.
as police officer to the best of my ability.
Can I trouble you to introduce your family that's here?
Sure. My dad, Mike, mom, Laura, and my girlfriend, Nicole.
Congratulations.
Like one at a time?
Mike, yeah. Yeah, we should. I, Michael Bloom,
I, Michael Bloom,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and comply with the Constitution of the United States of America,
that I will support and comply with the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Connecticut,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Connecticut,
the Charter, laws, and ordinances of the Town of Woodbridge,
the Charter, laws, and ordinances of the Town of Woodbridge,
the rules and regulations of the Woodbridge Police Department,
the rules and regulations of the Woodbridge Police Department,
and the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics.
and the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics,
And I will faithfully discharge duties of my office
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office
as police sergeant to the best of my ability.
as police sergeant to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. And if I could trouble you to introduce your family that's here?
Sure. My father-in-law, Carl, over here. My mother, Mary Ann. My father, Steve. My wife, Megan. Jan. Donna's here somewhere. And my friends, Chris and Laura.
It's like prom night. Didn't do it?
I just don't understand.
Right chair.
I, Robert J. Scott,
I, Robert J. Scott,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and comply with the Constitution of the United States of America,
that I will support and comply with the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Connecticut,
the Constitution and the laws of the State of Connecticut,
the Charter, laws, and ordinances of the Town of Woodbridge,
the Charter, laws, and ordinances of the Town of Woodbridge,
the rules and regulations of the Woodbridge Police Department,
the rules and regulations of the Woodbridge Police Department,
and the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics,
and the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office
as police sergeant
as police sergeant
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And if you can introduce your family that's here?
Okay. This is my mom, Karen. This is my dad, my brother-in-law Lynn, my dad's wife Sue. This is my brother, very proud of. He's a state trooper. My son, I'm also very proud of. My brother's wife Jess.
Congratulations.
And my wife.
Not coming.
That's right. Very nice. Do I have to go up the chair?
Keep it warm.
I just want to thank everyone for coming. For you, those of you that don't know me, I'm the Chief of Police, Frank Papiano, newly appointed as of about a little bit over a month ago. But we're very excited for all three of the two promotions and our new addition to the department. Mike Leslie comes to us from Orange, well-respected, well-trained, has a lot to offer. So we're looking forward to him. And Mike and RJ, I've known those guys since the day they were hired, and I've seen them grow to where they are today. Veteran officers who were bring a lot of training and both served in some special assignments. And I look forward to having them as part of my team here as we take the department forward into the future. And with that comes a lot of responsibility and a lot of mentoring that you'll be doing for the young department that we have, and a lot of the new guys. And everyone's really excited about it and full confidence. You do a great job, so welcome.
Thank you.
You could. Yeah. And actually, we're going to have some refreshments down in the roll call room, which is right down the hall on your right. So if you'd like to go down there once you're ready, enjoy yourself. So,
You can just say we'll take a brief recess. Go ahead. 6:10.
So we're going to take a brief recess. It's 6:10 now.
You knew the
See official time on it, watch as fast.
6:24.
Okay, so open with the Woodbridge Traffic Authority. First section is public comments, noting no one from the public is here. Move on to the traffic matters. Chief?
The first matter we had was a request for a handicap parking sign in front of 34 Manila Avenue. There's a handicapped resident with a valid handicap permit. They've had parking issues there that they weren't able to get, oftentimes get an appropriate space close enough to their house to gain accessibility. And this is something that came up a few months ago with the same people, and they brought it up. The deputy chief had looked into it at that time. Then they thought they'd be able to resolve it, and so they kind of pulled back on the request. But they have not been able to resolve the matter. So they're going to go forward with the request, and we've been in touch with Warren Connors at Public Works, and he's ordered a sign, and we'll put a sign up there. There's no real statutory requirements that would require a motion on your part. It's a common practice in other towns to do the same, and it'll just provide a designated handicap spot for anyone with a sticker, so it's not solely for that resident. If somebody else needed it, they would have it. So that's in the works.
Can I ask where Manila Avenue is?
Down like across from Starbucks in that area there, where the
Near Lucy Street, that
yeah,
sort of thing?
yeah, across on the other side of 69 from there.
So is there any other thing, like we learned in a complicated way that the request for parking changes around the dance studio was a very complicated story.
Yes.
Is there any other aspect to this story?
No,
No other
not that we're
situations than
no other
these.
issues
Okay.
with it. This is probably the only request we've had, and we've really had no complaints whatsoever of any kind of parking. Just these people can't get close enough to their house, and they tried to resolve it amongst
And they don't have
themselves.
their own driveway or anything like that?
Apparently not.
Yeah.
So there's no-
So you said we don't have to act on this. This is just for
It's an
notification.
FYI.
Yeah, just so
Okay.
you're aware. Yes. And then the only other issue that I had on that was an update on the Landis Street, the traffic matter down there where they installed the speed humps and the speed table. That was all in place at the last meeting. The only thing that wasn't done was the painting, and it was done shortly after the meeting. So now the signage and the markings are all done. It's completed, and we haven't had any further
They
complaints.
must be pretty happy down
So
there.
it seems like it's
something,
working.
right?
We haven't had any complaints that there's a speeding problem. We also have not had any complaints that motorists aren't happy with the humps. and
Delay in their
tables.
commute and the
So-
cut through.
So far, seems all good with that. That's all we had.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second? All those in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Moving on to the meeting of the Board of Police Commissioners for today, July 5th, 2016. Approval of the minutes. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second? All those in favor?
Thank you.
Public comment section, there's no one from the public. Moving on to review of reports. Is there anything unusual in the financial report that we should know about?
No, Ray, the deputy chief is going to update you on that.
All the bills have been processed that we've received for fiscal year 15-16. Absent the closing out of the salaries that just went out yesterday. Right now, the budget is at about 95, or it is at 95%. I just want to let you know that in vehicle parts, one of the lines we had a $5,000 balance in there. So I went to Tony Genovese and asked him if can we use that to have a PO for the equipment that needs to go into the chief's new car. And he said, okay. So what we did is we did a blanket PO for that. We used that out of our operating budget. The only other expenditures that are going to come out of the operating budget was probably going to be uniforms for the promotions as well as the new hire. Other than that, the budget looks, I mean, not the budget, but our finances look pretty good. That's another question.
What's the electric street that's a 400% over?
That is, we have to pay, well, that's our electric bill. Normally, it's just, we only utilize that account just for the street lights. All right, we have 4 street lights in town, and they have a bill each month. But what else comes out of that and why it's over is that we pay the electric bill for Bradley Road, which is one of our repeater sites. The rent and the electricity come out of that. That's a $700 bill each month. So that's why there's overage on that account.
So for future budgets, we're going to account for it?
Well, if we move it, they're in the process of talking about moving it to 21 Bradley Road. When that's done, we'll renegotiate, and more than likely, it looks like we're not going to be paying much at that location. But for next budget year, I actually budgeted for the amount that we normally would pay, so we won't have to worry. I don't think we'll have to worry about that in the future.
So, we have to approve this?
Yes, please.
A motion to approve the financial report? There's a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Unanimously approved. Activity report.
On the activity report, you have the monthly officers' statistics. And they're pretty consistent with that of the previous months. And with the new sergeants coming on board, I anticipate that some of those totals will increase, and the sergeants will be able to monitor and motivate officers that need motivation and take care of the activity. No big changes in that as far as the motor vehicle activity goes. As far as the criminal activity, update on the fatal motorcycle accident of June 10th. That investigation is still ongoing. We're waiting on toxicology reports and vehicle inspection of both the motorcycle and the car involved by our mechanic. And an update on the accident a couple days after that on Litchfield Turnpike. There were 6 people were injured that we reported. Everyone's been released from the hospital on that, so that was the good news on that one there. let's see, on June 6th, we had a forcible residential burglary on Upper Newton Road. And that was the front door, the door was forced open, and a lot of electronics and medicines, TV and iPad, things of that nature were all stolen. Our investigators were working with information they received from Seymour Police Department. Actually, I think it was the same afternoon or later that night, about a suspect up in an adjoining town. And they followed up on that, and they were able to recover almost all the stolen property. And they have a suspect that their arrest warrants pending on that, so that it's all coming to fruition. On the 10th, there was a report of a burglary at the Woodbridge Country Club, but it was pretty much a theft of metal and copper piping and stuff from the abandoned snack shack over there on the corner of 243 and Johnson Road.
Do they have a suspect for that?
For that one there, no, they don't really even have a time frame. It's kind of a vacant premise there. So, at this point, as far as I know, they do know. As far as on the 19th of June, they responded to a report of an altercation on Manila Avenue. Numerous 911 calls regarding disturbance in the street involving 6 to 7 people possibly with a gun. Officers responded to the scene. It was a domestic dispute that carried over throughout from the night before. They could stop a vehicle leaving the scene, and there was a person did have his possession of a pellet gun pistol that facsimile firearm. So some arrests were made with that. In regards to the car burglaries, that's been an ongoing problem. They've kind of somewhat subsided, but we did have a couple on the 25th. They made an arrest, actually the midnight shift. Happened to notice a car light on one of the parking lots around 1:30 in the morning down on Lucy Street. And they actually located a suspect in there, and they ended up arresting him for trespassing and some narcotic-related charges. And that person also has been arrested subsequent to that in New Haven for doing some nighttime burglaries. And so they just interviewed him yesterday. Again, he's in custody, and we're waiting some forensic evidence to hopefully move forward with that. And at the end of the month, they served a sexual assault warrant for an incident that occurred in town in January at a private residence. So that arrest has been made, and that investigation there has been closed out. That's the activity report. And in the school resource officer report, you don't have this actual formal copy of the report because it was minimal amount of school days, and at the end he wasn't able to get it printed out due to some accessibility at the school. But that report will be printed out and finalized, but he gave me the synopsis of it. We had the incident at the school that I reported to you last month, where it prompted a little extra police presence at the beginning of June, and that went off without further incident. In the beginning of June, on June 3rd, the SRO investigated a sexual assault complaint that came in. It was unwanted sexual contact that occurred between 2 students known to each other. So that investigation is ongoing. And on June 15th, we had the graduation. It was a beautiful day. The weather cooperated. Everything went well. There were no incidents. We had a police presence that was well staffed, and myself, the deputy chief, and the lieutenant were all on site at various locations during the event. So as I said, it all went well, and the normal traffic congestion in and out, but really no complaints and no problems. And that's it as far as the review of the reports.
Make a motion to accept.
Second? That's okay. Unanimous?
Thank you.
So moving on to the general orders.
Okay, I've begun my review of the general orders. As you know, it's one of my priorities, and I know it's one of your priorities also. It's very time consuming, and it's 400 and almost 500 pages of it, but we're finding that, there are revisions that need to be made before I could sign them and issue them. And then once they're issued, obviously the changes will be ongoing as the laws change and procedures change. But right now, even with some of the ones that were revised already, that's been a couple of years, so now those are still need some more revisions to be rewritten. So we're working on that, and I've gone over with the deputy chief. We're going to go through and go over some of the changes and revisions that were started a while ago. We're going to try to get that done. We will get that done. And my goal is to get it done as soon as possible, but it'll take some time. We'll go from there. They'll be retyped, and we'll get them onto flash drives for the guys and get them out, and then it'll just be a current, ongoing process. But we're working on it and hope to get it done.
Do you have any kind of idea, another month, 6 weeks, 5 months?
Yeah, I would say a good couple months.
Couple months?
Yeah, and then once we get them out there, it'll be good, but just to get the initial
Oh,
product.
sure, yeah, just.
So by September? By September's meeting, you think, maybe?
I hope, yeah, we'll try for September, or thereabouts.
60 days.
Chief, I know other towns have utilized certain law firms that specialize in this field. Was that a thought? I know that that's quite an expensive endeavor.
It is, and I know it was presented to the town attorney prior, and he suggested that we go outside to someone that specializes in that. So that is our hope. It's something we're going to need to do, especially on some of the orders, like excessive force and a couple of the other ones that have a lot of different, more complex variables that we'll make sure they're up to date and on board with that. But even if we could get them out and revise those as we go along, try to get the majority of them out by September, so have something in place for the guys to
Even if
move
we
off.
exclude the ones that are a little sensitive, right, and just maybe have an asterisk next to those, that they're going to be updated at a later date, but it'd be nice if we could get
Just a bulk of them.
the bulk of the orders out by, within 60 days, I would think.
Okay.
I would think. If you feel comfortable with that.
Okay.
Excluding the ones that are sensitive.
Have they chosen which firm is going to review them?
No, we've discussed Eric Daigle as one. I know he does a lot of the other towns.
Who is the
close? Eric Daigle, D-A-I-G-L-E. I'm sorry?
Do you know what firm he's with?
I don't know the name. I think
Is it solo?
His solely his firm.
Okay.
And he specifically deals with, for, policies and procedures for departments.
Okay.
He does just about all the departments that want to go out and spend that money, like you said, it's very costly.
Right.
So he comes highly recommended. I know it's close by as Orange uses him also. So that's where we're at with the general orders. The next item was the South Central Criminal Justice testing process. As you know, we're currently down 3 officers. And as requested, as we discussed in the past and as recent as last month's meeting, I researched the possibility of getting the candidate list from the previous test that we did not contract with. And I talked to Charlie Sherwood about that, and he explained that it would be problematic because now South Central Criminal Justice, they used to do the whole testing process, but this last test they partnered up with a company called policeapp.com, and that's where so everybody does it electronically online, so he no longer has total autonomy of the things. He's in partnership with this other agency, but I told him what our desire was, and if it was possible we'd like to use that list to get going. And he researched it and he got back to me, and he said that it wasn't going to work. He also had another police department that came from the same type of request. They were in a predicament that they didn't participate, but they're short, and they didn't want to wait any longer. They wanted to get on board with that. But he said, given the timing and the fact that neither our department or this other department was contracted with them, they wouldn't be able to make it work. the resolve to that was that he recommends that we participate in the next recruit officer regional testing, which is going to begin immediately. Not that they do it online, he said it's all a lot faster and people's applications go much more quicker and streamlined from when he used to do it, by paper and by hand. So this new regional testing process will begin actually this month, and it'll conclude in the mid or the end of August, with the final results coming out in October. Everything's online, like I said. It's a cost to the applicant of $85, and then it's split proportionately between South Central Criminal Justice and the policeapp.com. So our my position is that we'd like to go forward with at least getting ourselves involved with the selection process and sign the agreement to go forward with South Central and Police App.
Is there a fee to the town or to the department for that?
No, it looks like they get, I'm going to check on that, but it seems that the fees are paid directly by the applicants to those eight, gets paid to them, so it doesn't really cost us anything.
Well, I don't know, probably.
It'll give us a
You're easy when
list.
there's no fee.
That's where we're at, so maybe with your approval, we'll do
Do we
that.
need a motion for that?
We do. So moved.
Motion to,
Allow the chief to engage with the SCCJA newest
Yes,
wave
yeah.
of testing.
Second.
How'd I do, all right?
Great. All those in favor? Unanimously approved.
And the next thing is our impound lot. When they built we never had an area where we could securely enclose the secure vehicles held as evidence and for investigation. Sometimes we had to reach out to Orange PD and secure them there. When they built a new public works facility, they designated an area down in the back, and it's all it's crushed stone. It was all set up for us. So we had that there, but it was never secure with a fence and all. Long story short, if it didn't get finished today, it'll be completed this week. They were there last week putting the fencing in and all of that. So now it'll be secure with a lock gate, and they have video cameras, not specifically on that, but to the access and the whole area down.
How many cars can it hold?
Probably a half dozen or
About 8, I think,
How many do we have impounded right now?
4. Yeah, it's like
Or
4 or
half.
5 down there. Yeah, and actually we have some cars down there, and also 2 from these accidents went to Orange last time because we had nowhere to put them. So we have a couple over there.
So is that
So this will
something
be a
that was
big
on
thing
the
for us.
budget that now won't be on future budgets? Or is
Yeah, it was all
rolled
paid
into
from,
something?
actually, the purchase order was already on file.
Mhm.
It was just a matter of getting the process going. Then when the winter came, I guess they weren't able to do a lot of the digging, so. But as of this week, that'll be all completed.
Sounds like it's almost already full.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's a,
Do we
that's a-
pay
that's a
Orange to
big-
store our cars?
I'm sorry?
Do we pay Orange to store our
No.
other cars?
Just courtesy.
Yeah, it's kind of just a mutual courtesy. And then the only other thing about the building, I talked to Tony Genovese and received permission. They're going to paint the front lobby and clean that all up and paint that. And also my old office, which originally was the lieutenant's office, is right next to the roll call. And it's directly across from the chief's office and the administrative offices, so it's centrally located. And right now he's back here. So I told the lieutenant that my plan was to move him up there where he'll be right with all of us and right adjacent to roll call and all. So while that office is vacant, they're also going to paint that, and that's slated to start right after the holiday. So anytime all that work will also be done. It's
Motion
Pretty
to
much.
accept the report of the chief.
All those in favor?
Thanks.
Thank you, Frank. So, who's giving us the information on the personnel matters?
personnel matters, that's, I will, especially the first one. I'd like to respectfully make the request to carry over 17 vacation days. My anniversary date's coming up in August, and with all that's been going on in the last several months, and especially this month, and what'll be going on in the next few weeks, carry over 17 vacation days beyond my anniversary date to the next year.
Do we need a
Need a
motion?
motion? Okay.
I move to carry over our chief's vacation days.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor? All those against? None? Thank you.
That was risky.
His wife.
I'd love to be able to thank him. The next item we had under that was the school resource officer, and as you know, obviously with the promotion of RJ, Officer Scott to sergeant, it leaves us with a vacancy at the high school for the SRO position. So I just want to make you aware and make sure we're on the same page, that I'm planning to move forward and begin with the selection process so we could hopefully fill that by September. I posted an interest survey a few weeks ago, and we got that back of officers for different things that they
Are there
be
some
in
officers interested?
Yeah, there are officers interested in that. And there's a school resource officer school actually coming up, a local one in Connecticut in August. So we're going to try to move forward with that. I've been in touch with Superintendent Dumais over at the high school about the vacancy and about the process of going forward. We'll try to get that organized, because usually it's Deputy Chief and myself and our input, but also coupled with a piano. The past couple times they did with a piano from high school administrators and staff to make the final determination. So we have that going on. We're going to move forward with that. And also, and actually just happens to be directly related to that, we do have a formal written memorandum of understanding that's been in effect with the school since the inception of the school resource officer position. Over the past several months, there were some changes in legislation and also our institution of the body cameras. So we had to get special wording in their memorandum of agreement with that. And a lot of that took place prior to myself taking over as chief. And the deputy chief was involved with that. They made some recommendations to them. So Superintendent Dumais came back to me with the revised draft of the memorandum of understanding that was drawn up between him and between the Amity and the Board of Education attorneys.
Was that because of privacy issues with minors and that type of thing?
Yeah, all that. Yes, some of those issues, and then also, like I said, the body cameras.
Right. Okay.
And that. And our deputy chief and I looked it over, and there was a couple things we clarified. We talked to Tony about some of the wording about how was budgeting and items related to that. And we also forwarded a copy to town attorney Mr. Weiner for his review, and he got back to me today about that. He reviewed it and he finds it to be legally acceptable. He's good with it. The only thing he did ask is that I provide the chair with a copy of it, because on this new format there's a spot for your signature too. So I have a copy that I'll leave with you, and when you get the opportunity, maybe you could review it before we go any further with it. Sign it. So
Don't read it, sign.
And that's all pretty much as far as the school resource officer positions. We'd like to move forward with that. And then also, due to the promotions, the statewide narcotics task force that has left us, with the promotions, left us with the vacancy there. And this is a partnership that we've had in place for years now. And I've been in touch with the commanding officer of the state police, Lieutenant Tony Cirillo, about it. He reached out to us, also what our intentions were, because they hope to keep this relationship ongoing, and especially with everything that's going on now. And actually last week, 2 of the unit's supervisors and sergeants came down, and we met in my office and discussed what my intentions are, what our department's intentions are, and what their intentions are. And everybody wants to continue the relationship that we've had. And they stress that there's several pending big cases that are ongoing involving asset forfeiture proceeds. So a substantial amount of that will come in our direction as long as we stay involved. But more importantly than that, at this time, it's such an invaluable asset for us with all that's going on. to sever our relationship now, I think would really, just with the current climate, it's unprecedented, heroin, opioid epidemic, us having the school and the grammar school and the regional, being a regional high school. And as we've seen, we're not immune. We even had like 20 overdoses last week and 3 deaths. We unfortunately had our, 2 tragic overdoses in the last 6 months. So, more than ever, our commitment and our involvement, our partnership with them is necessary. And so, also one of the categories in that interest survey that I posted was anyone that might want to be interested in that, and we do have a few candidates for that too, which we'll discuss amongst our staff. And the plan is to move forward and just reassign somebody there, and we'll be a wash with that. Mike came back, and we also came back, and somebody will go there. So.
Do you need motions for the SRO or for this?
It's up to you if you like to make that, but I think it's our decision. As long as there's no objections and we're all on the
Go
same
for it.
page.
No, I think that's-
Okay. No, that would be great. Yeah, thank you. I think it's really important. It's just great resources for the community and also for us to. And the last thing I had, that was just an update on our most recently hired dispatcher, Janine Ingersoll. She was hired, as you know, in February of this year, and she has successfully completed all of her mandatory state of Connecticut collect and telecommunication requirements. She received all her certifications, and then she's been in a 5-month in-house field training program up in front with the various dispatchers on the various shifts, and the recommendation made through the supervisors and through the lieutenant to the deputy chief and myself was that she'd be cut loose and be able to participate in the bid, which just started on June 26th. And prior to that, we gave her a couple of trial runs when there was somebody here, maybe somebody in the building. She did good. She hasn't had a knock on wood, a major catastrophe to deal with, but all indications that she's doing well, and so she's been cut loose, and she's working on it also. As far as the dispatchers go, we're up to staff with that. We have 6 dispatchers in there.
There's one on at a time?
One is on at a time. Well, there's always one at a time, and there's
Yeah.
several times when there's 2.
And if, say there's one on and they get freaked out or overwhelmed, is there a backup they can call, or they call one of you?
They could try to get somebody, but if
Okay.
there's people working in the building, then they'll step up to the plate and come up and help.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all.
Do we move to approve the personnel matters?
You don't need to.
Any update on the budget?
No,
Okay. Old business?
none,
New business?
none.
Unless you have.
The only thing I wanted to mention is that there was a new state's attorney that was just appointed to New Haven District, which is, we're in part of that district.
Yeah.
His name is Pat Griffin.
Okay.
A former prosecutor in Waterbury, JD. I've tried a number of cases against Pat. He's very talented. He's been in the chief state's attorney's office doing statewide prosecutions on cold case files for the last couple of years, but he's, I think you'll welcome working with him.
Oh, great.
And I'm going to give him a call and have him reach out to you.
Okay.
Because
good.
I certainly think that it would make sense. now
Yes,
that he's
for sure.
in this new job to
We're waiting
sort
for
of
the appointment to.
meet everyone. That was highly contested and a lot
Yeah.
of political, it was interesting how it played out, but I was glad to see it back out.
And you've argued against each other.
Oh, we've tried serious cases against
Now
each
you're
other.
best buddies.
Well, we've been friends all along,
Cool.
but still adversaries.
That's how it is.
No, that's great.
So there's nothing in executive session. So is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Wow.
Good job.
Good job, boss.
Thank you all very much.